Okay. We're taking them. Hey guys, are we ready? Are we on already?
Okay. And then you can say, you guys, this isn't a live interview. You can take off your mask.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Behind the Voices. I'm your host, Derek Stephen Prince, and we have none other than the legendary Lex Lang and Sandy Fox. Sandy Fox. Wait, guys, we're not doing an in-person interview.
Oh.
Yeah, no, you can take that off. That's cool.
Okay. That's really
Ah. Alrighty, so here we are, guys. I'm going to do a little bit of an intro for those of you that may not be as familiar with these two iconic, legendary, powerhouse couple voiceover people. So, going to start off with Mr. Lang, who has been voicing in animation, anime, video games, Hollywood blockbusters for over 24 years. Some of the iconic roles that he has done include Dr. Neo Cortex in the Crash Bandicoot franchise. And if I might add, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Lang, I do believe that you did get the Best Male Lead Voice Actor Award for the BTVA 2018 awards.
Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's great.
So,
I don't know if they let me know that. I know I was in the running.
2 years later, congratulations! Of course, Jagged Stone in Miraculous Ladybug. Firelord Sozin in Avatar The Last Airbender. Major Vonrig in Star Wars Resistance. Poe Dameron. We're going to talk about that in a little bit for some of the Star Wars games. Some of the mainstream characters include Doctor Doom from Marvel Heroes, Clayface, Metallo, Young Wildcat, Atomic Skull, and some of the Batman franchise stuff, including Captain Cold. Plus, the ever-lovable Doorman and his dog Huntley on Curious George.
That's right.
And then, of course, in addition to all that, not that that wasn't enough, but CR6520 in Jedi Fallen Order for the video games. Stone Troll and Fire Troll in God of War. Kill Jadian? Is that how you pronounce it?
Kill Jaden, yes.
In World of Warcraft?
Yeah.
Hang on one second. Would help if I had my...
Soap.
There we go. Plug you back in. There we go. Got disconnected for a second there.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, so Lex,
Yes.
remember when we were talking before we actually started the show, and I mentioned that I do a game stream on Fridays.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely excited by the simple fact that you play the Char Mail in Guild Wars 2 because that's the game that I'm streaming.
Yes.
Yay!
That's so much fun to play that character.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, we've got Soap McTavish in Call of Duty Mobile, Torvald in Evolve, the Grim Creeper in Skylanders, Spyglass in Titanfall. The list goes on and on and on and on and on, guys. I mean, it's never ending. And then, of course, you do a lot of ADR for some huge, not small things, like huge blockbuster stuff, including Star Wars The Rise of the Skywalker, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Hotel Transylvania 3, Solo: A Star Wars Story, Star Wars The Last Jedi. There's a running theme here with the Star Wars stuff.
Star Wars.
Yeah. Which you absolutely hate, right? I mean, that you despise Star Wars stuff, don't you?
I don't.
Yeah. I'm joking, of course, guys. I'm joking. And then we'll get into some of the other stuff towards the end as far as the additional stuff that you guys do in addition to voiceovers. And then, of course, Miss Sandy Fox. Every time she opens her mouth, guys, the cutest voice in all of the lands. Yes. Let's see. Iconic stuff in anime, animation, video games for over 25 years, right? And you began your career in entertainment, working for the Walt Disney Company, performing in hundreds of live stage shows, singer, dancer, comedic talent. You were also a dancer for the Orlando Magic. The basketball team, and you sang the national anthem for them as well in their first game.
The first game, yeah.
Yep. Against the Chicago Bulls. And of course, in addition to Betty Boop, Chibiusa in Black Lady and Sailor Moon, Mipsy Mimpson in As Told by Ginger, Kyoko in Akira, Floan in Disgaea, Tachimoas in Ghost in the Shell, and Courtney in Pokemon Generations, and Mina and Momiji in Naruto, Sumomo in Chobits, Ritz in Bleach, Mistral and Marielle in Dot Hack. I just like saying the name. I've never seen the show, but Owly the Owl in the new Powerpuff Girls.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. Owly Boop. It's a take on my Betty Boop with a little robot. Yeah.
The original Lynn in Fist of the North Star.
Yeah.
And Risky in Risky Safety, Himaspechi in Tamagotchi Friends, the list, oh my goodness, on and on and on and on and on. Now, here's something, Sandy. Did you notice that slightly evil but happy laugh? I have a story for you that you are probably not even going to remember. But in addition to what we all talked about as far as IMDb, where you created the live version of Betty Boop, you dressed up as the Betty Boop character for Universal Studios down in Florida. You also did that for Universal Studios here in Hollywood.
Yeah,
right?
I actually did the live character in Hollywood.
Okay.
And then I ended up voicing Betty Boop for the show and Betty Boop store and all the content in Universal Florida.
So, a long time ago, guys, in a land far, far away, we're going back to probably 1993/94.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if I'm correct, this was before you really started doing a lot of the voiceover work, correct?
I actually moved to LA in 91
Okay.
from Orlando,
Okay.
and I think it was 93 when I started working on The Simpsons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I was in the original Walla group for The Simpsons for
Nice.
3 years. Yeah, so I was already doing some,
Okay.
like mainstream animation. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I know specifically for 2 other voice actors who we all know as voice actors. They didn't start off doing voiceover work. They actually also were at Universal Studios in Hollywood, one of which was Mary Elizabeth Mcglynn,
Yeah.
when she started off doing the Beetlejuice show,
Yes.
as well as Darren Norris, before he got into the whole, Fairly Odd Parents, and he was doing the Wild West show. And the reason...
I think Darren was doing, he was hosting the makeup artist, the props and makeup show, and then he became the Beetlejuice show as Beetlejuice for a while.
Right.
I think that's how he and Mary met. And I don't know if he ever did the Wild West show, because I don't think he did. Darren was also in a big improv theater group with Brad Sherman and a bunch of like really great, improv actors. Yeah,
Well,
they were all at Universal Studios, Hollywood. Yeah.
I know for a fact that Darren actually was in the Wild West show, and the reason why I know this, as well as what Mary Elizabeth did, as well as what you did, is because I actually was, for that year, a dresser in the wardrobe department.
Oh,
And I actually gave you your Betty Boop costume a few times.
oh my gosh! I think I actually now when I see that. Yeah. Oh my gosh!
Right? So,
It's like
yeah.
when you see people outside of a certain area that you know them. It's
Uh-huh.
almost to make the connection. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
So, that is pretty much the gist of the backstory stuff that I had. Lex, I wanted to ask you, because any voice actor's dream, right? I mean, being in any Star Wars something, like a video game, cartoon, the movie, how did that all transpire? I mean, did you get it through an agent? Was it just through word of mouth? How did that all begin? What was the first thing?
The first thing was when Star Wars came out. As a young man, I completely was enthralled by it. I memorized the entire, this is episode 4, according to the chronological order of the whole. But it was back in '77, it came out, and it became my favorite movie of all time. And then it was re-released in like 1982.
Right.
Or 81, and then the re-release, I was in high school, and during the re-release, I thought it would be kind of interesting if I memorized the entire film as a drama department exercise, and so I did that, and so I was really immersed in Star Wars, and then I didn't think much of it until again much later when I was a voice actor, and I had an opportunity to audition for one of the Star Wars video games. And I think I started out doing some stormtroopers, and it's kind of funny because fast forward 20 years, and I'm doing stormtroopers in movies, and like Rise of Skywalker and Solo, and Last Jedi and all that. But it's funny because the other stormtroopers, Steve Bloom and Yuri Lowenthal, were also stormtroopers back like 20 years ago. I know Steve was for sure. It was always. I was Stormtrooper 1 and he was Stormtrooper 2, or vice versa, or we were a transport captain, or some kind of incidental role that we would play. But then I had an opportunity around the time of the video game Rogue Squadron 3 to audition to be the voice of Han Solo, and so that was like my first really big break. It was a lot of people who auditioned on me, obviously. But I ended up, it was an audition through my agent at the time, was Sandy Shar, who was a wonderful lady, a great agent.
Yeah.
And so I got the part, and I did Rogue Squadron 3, and then I did a couple of others after that as Han Solo, but also a bunch of other ancillary characters. And then I did Stormtroopers in I think every single video game thereafter, including some pinball machines. And then I had an opportunity to audition for Poe Dameron for Star Wars Pod Racing, which is an arcade game at the actual arcade. And I got that part, and then I was asked to do Poe Dameron in the Star Wars Lego Star Wars. And I think it was actually inverted because when I did Lego Star Wars, they didn't even know what Poe Dameron sounded like, and the instruction was sound like Han Solo. He's very roguish, but we don't have any samples because it's all in such secrecy that we can't release anything. So I did that, but then after that it was more video games. I got Major Von Reg in Star Wars Resistance, the animated series. And then some more characters in Fallen Order, and the video game again. But it's been just a delight, a joy, a dream come true. I'm a meditator, so like when I set my intentions before I get into my meditation, being involved with Star Wars projects has always been like a little seed intention that I put out there, and I've seen a lot of it come to fruition, and it's been a dream come true for me. Like you said earlier, any voice actor, it's kind of a dream come true, but it's been surreal because I was so involved with fandom at a young age, between 12 and 16 years old. It was everything to me. I literally had my entire wall of my bedroom was everything Star Wars. You couldn't see an inch of wall. It was just all Star Wars posters and doodle art and signed items and things I got at science fiction conventions. It was just the entire wall was Star Wars.
Right.
So it's no surprise that eventually, once in the voice acting world, that I gravitated towards those, and I hope I do more. I'm always looking forward to that next Star Wars opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. There appears to be. Oh. Okay, hang on, guys. While you were giving your answer, there appeared to be an echo that was coming through the tech apps that I'm dealing with. So I was getting some feedback from some of the watchers that there was. It's all good now. Good, cool, awesome, yay!
Yay!
I fixed it. I'm not a tech person at all, so like for me to figure that out was amazing.
Okay.
All right, that is awesome. Let me go through. I used to live when I lived in Venice Beach for a little while, and you know how they have all those acts on the beach, people juggling, doing rap, doing hip moves and stuff. Well, the guy who lived right next door to me, like literally across the hall, was a guy named Echo Man. And he would go out and he'd be like, what in the heck oh dear.
He would sing the national anthem, he would do stadium calls, and people would put money in a bucket for him. It was amazing.
Wow.
But anyway, it just reminded me when you said you had echo going on.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Okay, to Sandy.
Hi.
This is coming from D23 Mon. If Sailor Moon crossovered with Marvel,
Yeah.
which team would Sailor Mini Moon want to be on and why?
Oh, I have to think about this. Mini Moon.
Avengers, probably.
Yeah, probably Avengers. Yeah. I mean, I could see her with Wonder Woman. I could see Mini
Justice
Moon
League.
and Wonder
Okay.
Woman. Yeah,
All right.
I could see them doing some major girl power there. Yeah, I would have to say that.
Nice.
Although she'd be really tiny compared to all the Amazonians, but
Yeah.
I think we needed to add to the girl power. Yeah. Magical girl power.
Oh dear.
Good question, D23.
Well, this isn't really a question. It's more of just a comment for you, Mr. Lang. Several people that are saying that you are a legend, that you voiced a whole crap load of people,
Legend in my own mind.
that you rock. So, yeah, there you go.
Aw,
Oh, thank you so much.
that's so sweet.
Special thanks to everybody putting up the nice props for me. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Sakura from Ninja Cadets. Who did
That's right. That was Sandy.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was my very first anime.
Was it really?
Yeah, that was where I learned to dub. Actually, I remember going, "Holy cow! Dubbing is so different than mainstream animation." But yeah, that was one of my very first like lead in anime.
Tell me the story behind that, because obviously you started doing Walla for The Simpsons.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
how did that how did that crossover thing happen? Like, were people just talking and saying, "Hey, have you ever done anime? Do you want to do this project? What's the deal?"
I think it was in the community, in the
Yeah.
voiceover community, and yeah, I think if they were looking for cute voices, I think that was yeah, that was the very first time two studios emerged. It was Bang Zoom and
Right.
ZRO.
Yeah.
And both of those studios were very instrumental in bringing anime to the West, and they wanted to dub it professionally. There'd only been, besides Robotech, there'd only been a few projects that were really dubbed well. Most of it was fan dubs that were passed around. So yeah, so it was Bang Zoom had a little like back of a garage studio. They literally started out of a garage. And I got
Eric's
called into
living room.
audition. Yeah. I think it was even before the living room, but yeah, it's pretty exciting to be in anime from that ground level, and where it was so like underground and not mainstream, and to where it's come to today is just phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Lex, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering correctly, I think we both may have started out the same. Were you initially introduced to dubbing through Power Rangers?
I was.
Yeah. You, me, and Neil all like the same part of the same group.
Yeah. It was the regular Power Rangers, and then from there was, let's see, it was, I think I did a couple things in Zeo, which was first, and then it became Power Rangers Turbo.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you and I both got a break.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Larigo and no, not Larigo, but Elgar was you, right? Elgar.
Yes.
And Rygog was
exactly.
Me.
Yeah.
And we were the comedic talents for that show.
Yes.
And then when they made the movie, the little wizard Larigo was another character that I did.
Right.
And that was really amazing. What an opportunity to be able to join that group of voice actors. There were so many, extremely talented people in that group. I remember, Richard Epcar and Kirk Thornton and Wendy Lee and Leah Sargent and a few others.
Exactly.
Were like the core of that loop group.
Yeah.
And, all of them have gone on to be legendary in their careers.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. This is just a general question for both of you guys. People wanting to know a little bit more about you personally. Favorite Disney movie, if you have one, and why?
Wow.
Well, now
There's
Disney
so
owns
many
Star
of them.
Wars.
Let's fine tune this. Let's
Pre-Star Wars.
stick with the classic Disney stuff.
Oh, classic. Okay. I would have to say Snow White for me.
Okay.
Snow White, and I remember seeing Bambi first, I think, or maybe no, Snow White I would have seen first as a kid.
Yeah.
But I just, first of all, any princess that had dark hair like me, I was like, oh my gosh, you know how you see yourself or whatever, because everybody's usually blonde, all the Barbies and Skippers at that time. So, but I love nature and animals, and the reason I love Snow White is her connection to nature and the animals, and that magical like communication where, the birds come in and say hello, and I think that was a big part of it. But I just love Snow White. I thought it was magical. And we actually got a chance to tour one of Walt Disney's original homes up in the Hollywood Hills recently.
That's cool.
And it was the home that he created Snow White, in. So he had the animators there and everything. So we were actually, I'm getting chills. We were actually in the room where that
a lot of that came to be.
Yeah.
Very, very.
I think for me, I love Snow White as an animated movie, but it kind of scared me. The evil witch was very scary in that to me as a kid.
Yeah.
But I loved it. And then Mary Poppins, of course, was incredible. That was like one of my all-time favorites. I could watch that over and over. I love Dick Van Dyke.
Yes.
And Andrews. Everybody was so good in that. And then as I got a little bit older, Fantasia was really a big favorite of mine. I really loved just, everything about it. It was so cool. And then, when I was a kid, we would have, during summer vacation, they would have like movies at my grade school, summer activities for the kids to do. You'd go and you'd play little board games and, do things, and they'd always be showing a movie. And they showed stuff like computer wore tennis shoes, which was
oh my God, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Those were great. What's really funny about that is that was one of my favorite of the Kurt Russell Disney movies.
Yes.
And Frank Welker was in that.
Yeah.
And Frank plays Curious George in Curious George.
Right.
So I've, since as a child watching him in this computer wore tennis shoes movie, and then realizing many, many years later now.
Yeah.
I said, oh yeah, I love computer wore tennis shoes, and Frank goes, I was in that.
Yeah.
So I rewatched it, and sure enough, he was there as one of the buddies of Kurt Russell.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I'm assuming Curious George happened through your agent?
Through agent, yeah. It started off as a sound-alike because the guy who played the doorman either moved or quit or was let go or something. I'm not sure on the details, but they wanted someone who could sound like him, and he'd only done one season at that point. And so I got the part. Did a sound-alike, and I got the part. And then once I got in there, kind of like they do most of the time when you get a part as a sound-alike, they say, you sound just like the character, so now let's just make it our own.
Sure.
Let's go ahead. Evolve it to the next level and bring what you want to it. So that's kind of what happened with the doorman.
When you had to audition for Han Solo, was that the same premise where you had to sound initially like Harrison Ford and then you kind of just developed it differently, or did they want it straight?
They want us to stay as close to Harrison Ford at all times as possible.
Yeah.
And, he's got a few different kinds of inflections as Han Solo. Like, he has sort of that, maybe you'd like it back in your cell, Your Highness. It's kind of got that rounder edge.
Right.
And then he's got like a little tighter version, which is, watch your mouth, kid. You're going to find yourself floating home. He's got a little bit of this thing in the background, like, of his throat, And so they supplied us with a variety of different vocal stylings, you might say, of Harrison Ford as Han Solo. And then we emulated those, and then the people who were kind of cream of the crop of that section were given dialogue that wasn't from the films that would later be in the video games to sound as Han Solo. And it went from like 1,600 people to 16 people in 3 months.
Wow.
And then it just became 2 in the East Coast, 2 on the West Coast, and then eventually it just became me.
Wow.
Which was crazy. And, when I got the call, this is a story I tell at Comic-Cons, but I was so excited. I was playing it cool on the phone, and I was like, oh, that's great. My agent said, oh, you got the part of Han Solo. I was like, oh, my gosh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And then I hung up the phone, and I was like, I was running around the house, jumping up and down.
That's amazing.
And I called my friends. I grew up in Phoenix, and when I was during that time where I memorized the whole movie, my friends and I would always go to sci-fi conventions. They were called back then, before they were called Comic-Cons.
Right.
And we would always go and cosplay, and I would always cosplay as Han Solo. So 20 years later, I give them a call and say, hey, you'll never guess what part I got in these new Star Wars video games, and they're like, who? And I said, Han Solo! And so we all rejoiced appropriately.
That's awesome. That's awesome. There's a not really a question; it's more of a comment. But I guess there's a person on here goes by the name of Pikachu Master 542. That is saying hi to both of you. I guess the person met you at PMC 2018 and at LA Comic Con in 2019. So
Okay.
Did we do Power Morphicon?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, Pasadena.
Yeah.
Oh, that, okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
You're welcome.
And then what was the other place they met us at?
Oh, what was the other one? PM.
Oh, LA Comic Con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pikachu Master.
Oh, Ranger Stop is the one I haven't done.
Right.
Oh yeah, Power Morphicon. That's with Scott Zillner. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a fun show. And hello.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me see. Moving on, just scrolling through some of the questions here. Oh, okay. So this is a question from Mel V1111. Do you have other favorite types of Digimon other than Wargreymon from either... What does it say? From either... I can't read all of it. Rookie, Champion, Royal Knight. Would you have loved to voice either one of them? Huh? Oh, if you could voice another Digimon, I don't know how much you know about the franchise, but other than Wargreymon, what do you have a specific character that you would want to voice?
I do not, and I'm sorry to say, I wish I knew more about the franchise. Yep. I do know some of it, but it's been, that's kind of like saying, in 1994,
right.
What'd you have for breakfast again? And would you rather have what was on the other dish? It's like,
yeah.
I remember the other dish, but yeah, and I'm sure you're the same way, Steve, and I know Sandy is, but it's like any time you get any part, it's like a blessing. It's like, you're really ultra grateful and you're like in the present moment with that part during it. And then when you move on to the next part, that previous part still holds, its value, sure. But you can't put all your acting focus into that part that you've already done. It's on to newer and better things. So I don't remember a lot of the characters from that show since it was over 20 years ago, right. For me.
Of course. Yeah,
but they did a reboot, right?
They did a reboot, Digimon Tri, which is different. And we were out of the country when they were recording that, and so I think Wargreymon in that one is Kylie Bear, which I'm sure he's doing a fine job.
Yeah. This next question from BM Rogue, aka Bo. Just
hi, Bo.
Wanting to know if you guys have caught up on the final season of the Clone Wars.
Oh, did you?
I'm not caught up. I didn't see the end, so don't tell me what's happening.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, don't spoil it. I saw there was something in the Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Discrepancy in the field.
Yeah.
Try to hear no spoilers. No spoilers.
Somebody. Do you do any on-camera stuff, Lex?
I do. I've done in the last couple of years, I've done a few things.
Oh, yeah.
There's a movie called Famous.
Oh, right.
Which Jeff Nimoy, I'm sure your viewers know who that is.
Right.
He was in Digimon.
Who did he play in Digimon?
He's definitely in Digimon. And so is Brian Donovan.
Yep.
He's in Digimon, the original.
Yeah. Well, Jeff also directed Digimon for a while and wrote it. And he made a movie, 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago, like last week. He found out he was having a real bad headache, and he found out that he had a brain tumor. And so he had to go in for emergency surgery, and they got it out. They went through his mouth or his nose or both, and they removed it. And he said, life takes on a whole new meaning and value when you come out of something like that. Because the doctor literally said, had you sneezed wrong before coming in here, you could have died.
Oh, my gosh.
And so when he got out, he said, well, what do I still want to do? And I'm kind of shrinking this whole story, but the long and short of it was that he always wanted to make this movie. And so he put together a group of people. He invited, I think I was one of the first actors he asked if I would participate, and I was very happy to do so. And so anyway, fast forward a couple of years, we were in Wisconsin and we made this movie, and it's at a convention, at GeekCon
and it's
in
about
Madison.
Being at a convention,
and
an anime convention.
It's a really nice romantic comedy that is touching, and it's also a lot of laughs, and it's very moving. I highly recommend anybody who hasn't seen it yet to check it out.
So it's
really
on
good.
Amazon,
It's on Amazon Prime,
iTunes, and it's Fame-ish.
Fame-ish.
Yeah,
cool.
Really cute, really cute movie.
And I play myself, but not the real version of myself,
Right.
just a fictional version of myself that has issues.
Did you in terms of acting, have you always done acting, like ever since you were a kid? Did you do stage? How
We have different answers.
Yeah.
But for me, I started doing stage type acting at around 11 years old, just being an extra in little stage community theater productions.
Okay.
Then I was a stuntman for about a year and a half at this amusement park called Legend City.
Oh, wow.
In Arizona.
Okay.
And then I injured myself falling from a second story onto some boxes, and the corners weren't punched out properly, and I got poked real bad. Which is fine, but my mom said, okay, forget the stunts, do the on-camera instead. So when I got to high school, I became a stage actor, and I did stage acting all the way through college. And then I did some stand-up comedy, and then I got into music, and I played music for a few years, and then went to the Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California.
Oh, wow.
And from there, I was asked, because I became the spokesman for the school, I was asked to go to a movie set and show the actors how to look like they were playing guitar, because those who hadn't ever held an instrument before looked awkward.
Right.
And while I was doing that, the director said, hey, are you an actor by chance? And I said, yes. And so he goes, I'm going to give you the part of the guy you're showing right now. And he made that guy a keyboard player. He kept all his scenes, which is fine. I didn't steal apart from somebody, but that led to doing some on-camera stuff. And then I did a little bit of a General Hospital. I did Days of Our Lives, a couple of soap operas.
Okay, all right.
And then
some B movies.
Some B movies. Oh yeah.
Gangsters.
Oh yeah. I did a movie called Blood Justice where I played a South American drug lord.
Oh, nice.
And then that was Dark Tides. I played a South American drug lord, and then a few B movies, and then I discovered voice acting. I was on set with a friend of mine in Vancouver on an on-camera movie, which I wasn't in, but his leading lady was Amy Jo Johnson, who was the Pink Power Ranger.
Right.
And so she heard me doing some impressions, part of my stand-up act at the time. And she said, wow, you'd be a great voice actor. You should do that. And I really didn't know what she was talking about. So she helped me meet Scott Page, the producer of Power Rangers, and the rest is history. And then I met Sandy about a year later. And Sandy had an agent already. She was on a few big shows already. She was with ICM.
Yeah.
And she helped me get my demo together and got me a pager.
Oh, my God.
Remember those little boxes?
Yes.
And it's like,
Yes.
I gotta find a phone booth now.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So now, and then the rest is sort of history. I started doing voice sound-alikes for a lot of the theaters. For a lot of the movie studios. And then I met Andrea Romano. Didn't know her as a voice person. I met her at a wedding, actually.
Oh, wow.
And about 3 years later, I was doing some auditions through Sandy Schnarr, because I went over to her as an agent. And I got called in to do, I think it was Captain Cold or one of those, on the show The Batman. And when I got there, I see this lady and I went, I know you from somewhere. And she's like, yeah, we met at a wedding. And I said, oh, that's right. And she's like, I had no idea you were a voice actor. And I said, and you are what? And she's like, I'm the director today, Andrea. And I was like, oh. And then, back then, I had no idea who she was.
Right, exactly.
The legendary status that she had even then.
Right.
But then from then on, she hired me, I think, on almost every Warner Brothers show that she did as a bit part or a ancillary character. She liked to use me as a utility player because she thought I could add versatility in what my voices and characters could be. And so, we have a long friendship that developed.
That's great. And
long answer. I'm not sure what
no,
the
no,
beginning question.
that's okay. And Sandy, did you start off as a child actor as well?
I did. I actually loved art and painting, and I was a very shy, stayed in art class for a long time. And then my chorus teacher asked me to come audition for Godspell, the musical Godspell,
Yes.
and I got the role of Robin, and I sang Day by Day, and that was junior high. No, my first year in high school, and oh my gosh, I just fell in love with being on stage and singing and being a part of an ensemble. So I did Godspell. The next year I did A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. I played Felia.
Nice.
And then during my summers, I auditioned for a theme park called Kennywood Theme Park in Pittsburgh, PA, where I'm from.
Right.
And so I started singing with a jazz band from Georgia, where we did musicals on stage and medleys. And I worked 2 summers there. And then I kind of ran away from home at age like a really young age. I mean, I was like, I just turned 17, graduated high school, and 2 days later I ran away from home to Florida. And I got a job. My high school theater drama teacher connected me with Disney Entertainment and auditions, and I started playing some really popular characters in the park, and I did that for about 3 months, and then I went on a tour of Europe as one of those characters, and came back and auditioned for stage shows, the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review and Mickey's Birthday Party, Fantasy Follies, and I just started, performing in shows. I often got cast in a lot of comedic parts because I love doing comedy and having fun with that. And I worked there for about 13 years, and during that time, I would often get asked to do voiceover because I'm on stage with Mickey and Minnie and all Goofy and all the characters, 5 shows a day. And so they would say, hey, can you do Minnie for this parade? Can you do Snow White? And I ended up taking, at the same time, I was singing with the 1920s jazz orchestra, the Coconut Manor Orchestra. And that I had been singing with the whole time I was at Disney as well.
Right.
I think I was 18 when I was discovered in a Bennigan's by a guy named Steve Tirico. And I was doing a part-time job at night, so I was the hostess of a Bennigan's. So I'd be on the microphone, last call for alcohol. And this guy comes over with a bow tie and a paper hat, and he's like, well, say there, you sound just like Helen Kane. And I'm like, who's Helen Kane? I'm 18 years old, and she was a pop singer in the 1920s that also voiced Betty Boop. So he said, come audition for my orchestra. I sang with that orchestra. I toured with them during my time in Florida. And that's kind of where the Betty Boop path kind of crossed. And sometimes they'd ask me to dress as her for a show or an event. And we opened for Cab Calloway and Ray Charles and Pete Fountain at the Cool Jazz Festival. So it was really exciting, fun performing times with a bunch of great jazz musicians, Dixieland and jazz musicians.
That's awesome.
And then I had an opportunity to take a workshop with Sue Blue.
Ah, yes.
Yes, and she was in Orlando, and she was giving a workshop. And I had done radio commercials. I'd done TV commercials in Orlando. I got my SAG card there, playing a space hooker in a movie called Super Force. And so Sue Blue, I took the class with her, and I just fell in love with her. I fell in love with her energy, and I didn't know there was like this whole world of animation and voiceover. So literally the next week, I got a call from casting at Universal that they were looking for to create their first living Betty Boop in the park, but it was for Hollywood. It wasn't for Florida yet. And so I got, and I was just at that time in my life where I, had that opening and that opportunity. So I like drove across country with my little dog.
Wow.
And auditioned in Hollywood. And 2 weeks later, I started, in 1991 working for Universal Studios Hollywood. And then I went literally at that time in the 90s, like knocking on doors of agents with my little CD or my tape. And I think my first agent was Cunningham S. Scott and TD before it was CPSD. And that's when The Simpsons were moving off of Fox. I mean, moving from the Tracy Ullman show into their own series at Fox. Right. And they were looking for voices of women that could do comedy and could do voice little kids. So that's how I started working on The Simpsons for 3 years, which later went on to be Futurama for 2 years and King of the Hill for 7.
Oh, wow.
So I really enjoyed that. It's all improv and it's really fun to be in an ADR group. A lot of times people go, oh, well, you're just the background voices, but it's really, Lex will tell you too, because he does all the movies, but it's really exciting to be in that room. And for Disney as well, I did the ADR additional voices in Wreck-It Ralph, and then also Disney's Maleficent 1. And we created, the little fairies and the little twig people, and then the little creatures in the bog, and it's just really fun. I feel so grateful to be able to use my voice and my gift.
Absolutely.
For this work. So.
And if I'm not mistaken, you also were on a game show.
Yes, we were both on a game show. One of the other voice actors, I can't remember who it was, they asked us to audition for Card Sharks. And so I'm like, Lex, you're really good at poker. I'm not so great. But we went and auditioned for Card Sharks. But then Card Sharks ended, and this new game show, they rebooted Press Your Luck. And so we both got asked to be on Whammy Press Your Luck. And I don't know if anybody has ever been on a game show, but they shoot like 10 shows a day. So there's all the people, we're all lined up in one room, and they give you all the instructions. And so we were on different shows, right? You have to be on different shows if you're related. But then I ended up winning the Grandmaster, the Tournament of the Champions.
Wow.
I came in second. I was called back. And
I got whammied out on my first triple whammy. Bye-bye. And
it's actually kind of a cult following. There's a YouTube following of people that mix my anime songs with my whammy video.
Well, little trivia on that whammy show. What was the movie that you Bolt, was it?
Oh, yeah, this is a great story. So years later, like maybe 7, 8 years later, after I did Whammy, Press Your Luck, my agent gets a call, and they go, I have an odd request for you. And I'm like, okay. Disney is doing this movie Bolt, and they want to use your voice from when you were on the game show Whammy to put in the movie Bolt. And I'm like, okay, they're going to pay me, right? Sure. And so they got permission from Whammy, Press Your Luck. So if you watch the movie Bolt, there's a hamster in his mobile home trailer, and he's going through different channels, and he lands on a game show channel, and you hear me going, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies.
Oh my gosh.
So I guess they thought I sounded like a hamster. I don't know. But anyway, I ended up in the movie Bolt.
Funny.
All because of Whammy, Press Your Luck.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, super.
Question from Luigi C369 for Sandy. Do you have a favorite Sailor Moon recording moment?
Wow. Well, I would have to say the end of the whole arc. We did through 5, although I wasn't in 5 as much, but where, it was just the end of our session, and I guess that was in the recording studio. I mean, I remember Susie, our engineer director, saying, okay, that's a wrap, and I didn't even imagine that I would feel this way, but I just started to weep.
Aww.
I just started to cry. I have to say that voicing Chibi Moon and Black Lady, because that's, a part of her, but has been such an honor. I think this show is like the Star Wars of anime, and it's touched so many people's lives. And every time I go to a convention, they share how it's affected them and in a positive way. So yeah, I would have to say that day recording. I mean, I always love the banter scenes with Stephanie, but we're never in the same room together.
Right.
I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
But I just weeped. So I do hope this new Eternal movie, I do hope we all get to do that because it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And that's coming out. So
Very cool.
Yeah. Good question, Louie.
Do either of you guys remember recording for Pokemon Generations? I know it was like 2 years ago, but
Yeah. I was we were in the same show, and my character, who is like psychotic, is in love with him. Yeah, Courtney and Maxie. Remember?
Yeah. Ellen Epcar was the director.
Yep. Yeah, Ellen was the director.
Yeah. And those were just little like 6-minute
or 8-minute
interstitial kind of episodes. It was fun.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is a very interesting question. I like this. This is from Pikachu Master 542. So, for each of you guys, as voice actors, but asking the question of what your favorite voice is from your spouse.
Oh.
You have one? You said, oh.
The first one that came to mind was Antonio Banderas. I got to go to the studio. Lex, he voice matched Antonio Banderas in this which movie? 13th Warrior.
13th Warrior.
So I got to sit in on that session at Disney Studios, and they have like big giant mics and huge screen, and there's Antonio Banderas, and he was speaking like Antonio Banderas. So that was exciting.
Nice.
That's suave.
Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
Love that. For me, before I met Sandy, I had a couple of Betty Boop posters in my house.
Did you really?
So I thought it was really cool. So when she would do her Betty Boop voice, I'd be like, oh yeah, she's so good at it, just like yeah. So that's my favorite, I think, of the voices that she does.
Yeah.
She also does this little character named Snuffy in JJ the Jet Plane.
Yeah.
That I think is like the cutest little.
Snuffy is a little boy.
Yeah. So cute.
Yeah, it's so interesting because you really do notice in these interviews like a theme of there's a thing that they say in meditation or in conscious work that where your attention goes, energy flows. And I remember, growing up and the love I had for Disney and the Muppets. And I was in charge in like high school of our homecoming floats, and we created a Mickey and Minnie float, and then we created a Kermit and Miss Piggy float the next year. And then without ever even thinking that I'd be working for Disney for so long. And then also, I don't know if you knew, I did a part on the Muppet Show when it was Muppets Tonight, and I got to do a scene with Kermit.
Oh,
and I was,
Very cool.
So, but it's just interesting how Lex was saying he had Betty Boop and Star Wars on his wall, and how like those worlds, like they just, they're like themes in your life, right? That love that you have for something,
exactly,
or passion.
Yes.
So,
absolutely. This next question is from Sailor Mikey.
Hey, Mikey.
So, I like the start of this question. I'm going to add a little bit into it just to put a little bit more meat and potatoes into it. But as far as voiceover roles that you guys have done through your entire lifetime, what is one of the more obscure roles that you've done that you wish more people would know about?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Let's see.
You know, years ago, I think you mentioned it actually when you did my bio, but there was a show I did with Michelle Ruff, and I think it's completely out of print and everything, but it's called Risky Safety.
Uh-huh.
And I really loved, I was the little devil on the girl's shoulder, and Michelle was the little angel. But my character had that struggle, like Gollum, between I'm supposed to be the little devil, but there's you can see that struggle to wanting to be good or having empathy for the little girl, and so I just love that character. I really enjoyed that show, that series, and I love voicing that character. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, Argento Soma. Lex played Frank.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That was a really beautiful anime. And I played Hattie. And Frank was a robot.
Yeah,
that kind of protected her.
Yeah, the caretaker.
Yeah. That's another good one, too. They're kind of obscure animes that I don't think anybody's really picked up on, or they've just been out of print.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, the TV show Constantine.
Yes.
I think after episode 5 is when I came on to do all the demons and all the aliens and every kind of, scary sound thereafter. That was a really good experience for me, and I know that the TV show actually changed. Its ratings went up significantly after they switched from doing like canned demons to an actual actor doing it for each of the episodes, which was good. And then there's another thing that I did that is on iTunes. It's a graphic novel called Batgirl Year One.
Oh.
And I play Batman in that and a few other characters.
Nice.
And that's one that I don't think, I know a lot of people have seen it. It's a DC item, but it kind of came around right at the beginning when you could start renting movies on iTunes and not as many people were. But it's a series, and it's a graphic novel series called Batgirl Year One, and it's very well done. A lot of really good people are in it. Keith Silverstein, Kate Higgins plays Batgirl, and a plethora of other talented voice actors.
Right.
And I really wish the movie where I played the space hooker with the razor blade fingernails, it's called Super Force, and the same producers like Ridley Scott that did Superboy did this one-off film. I think they were maybe trying to sell it as a pilot, but I don't think you can really find it anywhere. Sometimes you can find it on YouTube and then it goes away, but it's called Super Force, and I'm in the first scene as a space hooker. And a funny story about that, they put these giant silver fingernails on me.
Right.
And I had this crazy, wacky, futuristic hair. It was like 2050 or something. And it rained on set that day. So they're like, you're going to have to come back tomorrow. Can you keep the nails on? And so I had to wear these nails home and try to eat and drive.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Silly.
What is, this is not actually from one of the watchers, but it is a question that we often get asked in the Q&As here. And I wanted to throw it out to you guys because I always love these answers. Can you think of a specific character in a show that you guys have voiced that maybe wasn't necessarily as fun as some of the other characters that you have done in the past, but it has really meant a lot to you personally, emotionally, mentally, any of those three, all of those three?
Well, I know it's not it doesn't fall in the obscure category, but again,
it doesn't have to be obscure.
Definitely, Chibiusa's journey. Often in the studio, she would experience emotions that I felt as a child, her responsibility for her mom and her safety, and it's really interesting when you're voicing a character and you can relate so much to their story arc or their emotional journey.
Yeah.
And I would have to say Chibi Moon was one of those characters. Like, sometimes I feel like when you're reading lines on a page and you're like, wow, this is like right out of my storybook. I mean, just different, characters and scenes. But so, yeah, I would definitely say that.
Very cool.
I think for me, it's a little bit more of in groupings. I think, of course, anything Star Wars has always meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Being in the room with, just this is kind of a generality for me lately because, I've been on Curious George for 11 seasons now, and I was on Resistance, Star Wars Resistance, for the first season. And what happens is, you go into a room and suddenly you're sitting next to Dee Baker and Frank Welker and Jim Cummings and Rob Paulson.
Amazing.
Haley, and like you're in this collective of actors, and I'm constantly pinching myself, going, okay, I know I've been cast, and I know this is my 10th season on this, but here I am. Every single recording session is like a master class.
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah.
Plus, it's just like I'm such a fan of everybody else in the room. It's kind of like the Mutual Admiration Society each week. We get there and we're just like,
right.
They have great senses of humor and they're so talented. In between takes, there's people doing impressions and comedy things, and it's spectacular. And it's really one of the big blessings of this career for me is to be in those rooms and to like be a part of it and feel worthy to be a part of it too. Because, for the first many years that I was in that room, I was always feeling like, how did I sneak in here? How did I like get by somehow in here? And then the last few years have been more like, what a blessing it is to be at this level of my career and at the opportunity to sit with these marvelous, beautiful people and learn, because they're also humble and grateful. And it's like, that's the class as well, besides the technique and the voice acting stuff, is you see like these people who have made it to really high levels in their careers still, for the most part, maintain humility and gratitude. And, that's a really special thing to learn each week, to see that if you can keep that, the sky's the limit, the world's your oyster, as
Absolutely.
they say.
Absolutely. So, in addition to the voiceover stuff, you guys also have side businesses, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, Sandy, if you're still doing this, because I know that you do meditation, but you were also doing yoga at one time, weren't you? Or do you not do that anymore?
Well, it was actually, I'm just starting a new phase of it, but yeah, we both trained at the Chopra Center,
okay.
Deepak Chopra Center in Carlsbad, California. So part of the training that I took, I did the Vedic Master Program, very much like Star Wars. No, but yeah, it is a lot. There are a lot of correlations between Star Wars, the Vedas, and the Jedi. But yeah, so I studied, I got certified in their 200-hour yoga program, their Ayurveda, which is Science of Life program, and then meditation. Lex and I did the meditation together. And actually right now, while we're on this like kind of, quarantine break, I've been studying kids yoga and child development and things like that. So yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, becoming meditation instructors was literally like the greatest gift that could ever be given to anybody.
Wow.
It was definitely the greatest for me. It totally changed my entire outlook on existence.
Yeah.
And,
and yoga is so much more than just like those poses and the asanas. It's like a lifestyle.
Right.
It's your thoughts, it's how your behaviors, how you treat your space and each other with kindness. It's real in the world.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful philosophy to study.
And as we were discussing before we started the show, you guys, or Sandy specifically, you do meditation classes online?
Yeah, we created a program for to take to Comic Cons and anime cons.
Mm-hmm.
So it has all kinds of fun characters. It's very light and very easy to follow. And we usually do it at Comic Cons, but since we were on break, I had offered it on Twitter to some of the fans if they wanted to do like a one-on-one session
Sure.
with me, and I was giving like donating time during the week for that. So I still put that offer out there. Just follow me on Twitter, send me a message, or they can always send it to Sandy at sandyfox.com, and then we'll set up a Zoom time and do a meditation class. It takes about 45 minutes. So.
And if you're interested in a more in-depth meditation class or instruction, we both teach privately as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just so people know where to follow you, do you remember your guys' usernames on all the social media? Can you give that to us here?
Sure. Mine's at Sandy Fox World, like Disney World.
Okay.
Sandy Fox World on both Twitter and Instagram.
Okay.
And just Sandy Fox on Facebook.
Okay.
I have a Voice of Betty Boop on Facebook, and then I have a Sandy Fox on Facebook as well.
Gotcha.
That lists like all the mainstream stuff. Yeah.
And I think on Instagram it's just at Lex Lang, and I believe at Lex Lang on Facebook too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
And you're Lex, for you specifically, you're not on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter also,
You are.
but it's more rare that I show up on
that you show up there. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Very, very, very cool.
So I have time. I'm helping a friend today. I'm taking them to their dentist office.
Yes,
at
I remember that.
So
Yes.
I have time for one more question, but I know Sandy has a few more minutes to spend with you if you should so want.
I think I've pretty much fielded all of the questions that have been coming in, and I've been trying to get to all of them. So I did have one question for you guys, only because I remember from a few years back, in addition to I guess before the meditation started, you guys also had a water company, correct?
Yes.
We still do.
You still do?
It's called H2 Ohm Water with Intention. And you can learn about it at h2ohmwater.com. And that's OM, as in the mantra Om.
Right.
Yeah. And we have these beautiful eco-refillables, love, peace, and joy. And the brand came through a very powerful dream and a meditation that we were doing on Kauai on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
And we still have it. Yeah, we still have the company. We're on a little hiatus with the water during this quarantine.
COVID, yeah.
We're going to just, make some more right after. But we still have the refillables and the company, and we're creating a really cool app.
We call it Water with Intention. What we do is we put words like love, peace, joy, gratitude, prosperity, perfect health, things like that on the bottle in these beautiful mandalas. And then we say, think it while you drink it, or what intention will you create?
Right.
So basically, instead of having a bottle of Arrowhead, where the image is basically an arrow going through your head, instead you have a beautiful bottle of natural spring water that's perfectly filtered. There's no there's no additives or flavors or chemicals and processing or anything.
Right.
And when you look at it, you might see the word gratitude, and it might just get the gears going, and you might start creating intention related to gratitude or love or prosperity or kindness, peace, things like that. So that was the intention behind the brand.
Yeah.
And so that's
to kind of raise consciousness and elevate our thoughts.
Right.
Because when we elevate our thoughts, then that's what is manifest in our reality. Again, where our attention goes, energy flows, and that's what we create.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a vehicle to put your attention towards your intentions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people can buy that online?
Yeah, just h2ohmwater.com.
h2ohmwater.com.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that is a perfect way to kind of wrap things up for today with you guys.
Thanks for having us, Steve. It's
thank
awesome.
you, Steve.
I
We started
love you guys.
at the same time. It's great
I
that
love you
you're
guys.
still so
Yeah, we
prolific.
love you too.
Aw. Well, that's
And we love all you people out there too
Yeah,
who tuned
thank
in.
you for
Thanks for
tuning
watching.
in and supporting Steve.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Be well. Be well.
So as I always wrap things up every week, guys, please, please, please be good humans. Keep your feet on the ground, but reach for the stars. We love you. Take care.
Love you.
Love you. Peace to everybody. Good health.
Bye.